Ahoy there, my name is Beth and this is the story of how I renovated my 1904 Dutch sailing barge. This week's a bit of a short one, but we're working on the hatch trim. So yeah, this week I've been working on the hatch trim. I haven't got a huge amount done. I'm still taking it easy, but yeah, I've got a bunch done anyway, so I can show you what I've managed to get. So a little while ago I made the trim itself, the kind of box if you like, and now I'm making the interior fittings. So let's have a look at that. So the one thing I noticed when I test fit the hatch surround was that the boards that I'd put in front of the hatch are actually too short. I'd lined them up with the foam and not actually with the hatch itself. So there's about a 2 centimetre gap. So yeah, I had to pull some of the ceiling down, but it's only a small space and I put it back up fairly quickly. I need to make some trim for just around the inside of the hatch surround, or like a little kind of flange if you like. So just to go around the inside to prevent the other kind of window if you like to be popped in. So I have this edge of some tongue and groove, so I'm just going to cut the bit off, and then I've got 2 pieces of kind of strips. So for this bit of wood, I just want to take a tiny bit off just to kind of liberate the beading, if you like. So for this cut, I just want to take a tiny bit off. So I'm just taking it easy. You know what I'm like with table saws, they kind of scare me. So I've now got 2 pieces, and the nice thing is they've actually got a square edge and then a sort of rounded edge. So that'll work well. So next I needed to cut the actual surround for the inner window pane if you like. So I had this old board lying around and it was actually perfectly the right length. Well, I thought it was at the time. So the first thing I started doing is just doing 1 cut all the way down the board, and that's just to remove that kind of tongue and groove section on one side. So next I worked out exactly how wide I want the frame and I started cutting it. And then I actually started cutting a rebate in it. So here the saw blade is cutting through the board but not completely through the board. So then I flip the piece of wood over and then set the blade again, and this is to cut the rest of the piece of the wood out. So it doesn't cut all the way through the wood, but you can see it's taking a kind of square shape out, leaving an L shape behind. So I've now cut this piece of wood. So this was a section of floorboard. It was slightly thicker, but the top surface of the floorboard was really awful, so I just skimmed that off. But if you can see on the table saw, I've cut this rebate, and this is what the Perspex pane glass will sit in, and then it'll have some beading along the top. And you can cut these rebates out with a router, but I've used the table saw because I'm left with the piece that's come out, which I've flattened a little bit, so that now sits in there. So if you see, I'll be able to put some Perspex in there, and then this is the beading that will fit flush. So I made it a little bit lower because the Perspex will take up a fair amount of space, like 3 mil, 4 mil or something. So yeah. So that's great, lovely. So now I had the long L shape, I needed to cut it up into sections, and these sections are going to have a 45-degree angle on each end. And so here I'm using my mitre set to set the mitre sled, or the thing that holds the wood as it goes through the saw blade. So now when I run the piece of wood through the blade, it's going to cut at a perfect 45-degree angle. These are the smallest sections I could get away with. So I'm trying to keep waste to a minimum here, and it sort of worked. Now I'm trying the pieces inside the hatch around and just marking the edge where I need to cut. And then I cut the next section off, and then I'll need to turn this piece round and then cut that end piece off. Oh, it was nearly long enough. I've cut 4 pieces of wood, and I've taken one of the old floorboards that I've got lying around, and I measured it up when I got the floorboard. But when I've cut it up, I've tried to keep the waste to a minimum and tried to keep these cuts to a minimum, but the last one is just missing a little bit. It's a bit annoying, but it won't make any difference really, because I'm just going to glue on a section here, and then I'll just cut that edge off and no one will ever notice. But it's actually not in the rebate anyway, so it's just in the corner and you'll never see it, certainly with a little line of filler. Filler hides all the sins. But that's all the cutting I need to do now, so I think I'm just going to get a bit tidied up and then go back indoors again. So I've got a few pieces here now. So I've got the little window, the pane of glass or whatever. So the hatch cover, something like that. So I'm kind of I'm not sure if I mentioned actually how I'm gonna, or why I'm doing this. I think I might have mentioned about condensation, but this is the hatch trim. So when you're looking up into the ceiling, you'll see the hatch there, but it's only a single glaze hatch. It's like plastic. Like sort of impact resistant plastic and a aluminium sort of frame, but the problem is that single glazed and gets cold, and then with the moisture in the boat it condenses and you get dripping water. There's a lot of water comes off it actually, and it's going to be above my bed as well. So what I want to do, I've made the hatch trim, but what I'm also building is an extra frame that fits inside this. So you can see it has a little bit of a rebate. So when it's a square, I'm going to measure up and cut a square piece of 3 or 4 mil Perspex. So it's transparent and you can see through it. So I'll put the frame together and then I'll put the glass in, and then I'll put some beading in just to hold it in place. And then this entire frame, I'm going to put some little handles or something on and some locking kind of things. So you can put it up and then lock it maybe with your thumbs or something like that. So that will sit in there. But what I've also cut are these pieces of beading, and these used to be the kind of edge of tongue and groove. So these pieces of beading will sit inside the hatch trim, at the depth for these, so it'll kind of sit on them like that. Actually that's the wrong way around because it's flat on that side. So when you put the glazing in, it'll go in and it'll sit against that, and it'll make an extra good kind of seal, but also it's something for it to kind of sit against. And then I can get some of the kind of hatches, some of the catches that you kind of turn around, and it's got like a little cam, but like a little slope that it'll kind of go in and like push it in nicely. So that'll be good. And then what that means is there's two kind of pieces of glass. So inside there's a piece of glass, and that internal void will not condense as much. So there might be a few drips, but they'll just be on the inside of this. Rather than dripping down onto the bed, so that'll prevent the condensation. So I'm not what I can also do on top of here as well is put some kind of blind at a later date. So maybe I'm going to fit like a little roller blind that I can pull out and then clip on that side, so I can just put like a blackout on there. Because one of the things I'm really excited about my bedroom up forward is that when I'm in there, if I kind of get a blackout blind here and some sort of blackouts for the portholes, then it'll be completely pitch black. And I love a pitch black room when I'm sleeping. I sleep with an eye mask otherwise. So that's going to be amazing. But yeah, so it looks really nice. So I need to. Where's the other bit? I've lost the other bit. It was. So these ones, yeah, they're a bit dirty, and I started to sand them a little bit with a piece of sand, but I think a piece of sandpaper. But I think I'll take them out and just run the orbital sander over them, and then I can glue these in here at the right depth, and I'll probably put well, I don't know whether I'm going to put some pins through. I don't want to damage them, so maybe I won't pin them. I'll just put them in, and then I'll clamp them on and glue them. So I might need to do them one by one. So it's going to take a little while extra to do all these bits. But yeah, it's a nice project to be working on. Also, I've sent my plans for the electrical system to a really good electrician who's been working on someone else's boat, and he's an expert, so he'll be able to tell me any problems that I've got. So yeah, he's going to look at that hopefully this week. So this is a really good project to get on with, especially because that hatch is currently dripping into the hull. So yeah, that'll be a good thing to do. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. So I used a small drill to drill some pilot holes in this beading, because if I just hammered the panel pin straight through, it would definitely split the wood. Then it means I can hammer the pins in safely. Then a bit of glue all the way down the inside of the wood. So here I'm using the actual piece of frame just to make sure I set it at the correct depth. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but obviously it's not put together yet. So then I can hold it in place and then hammer the pins in. And just another dry fit. So it looks really nice. This is how the frame will sit inside the outer frame. So thanks again for joining me. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a short one, but I'm still kind of taking it easy at the moment, and so yeah, we're just working on quiet jobs. But yeah, the electric plans have gone to the engineer to check them over, so hopefully I can start that work soon as well. But otherwise, next week we'll continue with the hatch trim, try and get that finished at least. So I'll see you then.